We are excited to invite you to 2022 Rotary International Convention, Houston, Texas.
There are no limits to what can be discovered.
Our horizons are changing, but we remain resilient.
Because it's in our nature to break down barriers.
To explore the vast world of ideas, culture, and experiences.
The very things that give us new meaning to life.
So what better time than now to take action?
And push the boundaries of what's possible.
To join forces and do something that revitalizes the spirit.
Form connections that broaden our worldview. Share our passion for service with other leaders.
And become inspired to do great things along the way.
Let's take on new horizons and see what's possible.
Because our potential has no limits.
Discover new horizons at the 2022
Rotary International Convention in Houston, Texas.
Come, let's discover new horizons at the 2022 Rotary International Convention, Houston, Texas.
Every year, over 350,000 young people participate in Rotary's youth programs. And thousands of mentors guide them as they develop their potential and take action in their communities. Service learning is a proven method for activating young people to address the root cause of community issues and hone their leadership skills. And along the way, inspiring them to create lasting change in their communities and themselves, setting them on a path for a lifetime of service. Foster growth in young leaders in your community with Rotary's service learning resources, our new approach to youth service. Resources are now available for both youth program participants and adult advisors. Start your service learning journey now at rotary.org/learn.
We are excited to invite you to 2022 Rotary International Convention, Houston, Texas.
There are no limits to what can be discovered.
Our horizons are changing, but we remain resilient.
Because it's in our nature to break down barriers.
To explore the vast world of ideas, culture, and experiences.
The very things that give us new meaning to life.
So what better time than now to take action?
And push the boundaries of what's possible.
To join forces and do something that revitalizes the spirit.
Form connections that broaden our worldview. Share our passion for service with other leaders.
And become inspired to do great things along the way.
Let's take on new horizons and see what's possible.
Because our potential has no limits.
Discover new horizons at the 2022
Rotary International Convention in Houston, Texas.
Come, let's discover new horizons at the 2022 Rotary International Convention, Houston, Texas.
Every year, over 350,000 young people participate in Rotary's youth programs. And thousands of mentors guide them as they develop their potential and take action in their communities. Service learning is a proven method for activating young people to address the root cause of community issues and hone their leadership skills. And along the way, inspiring them to create lasting change in their communities and themselves, setting them on a path for a lifetime of service. Foster growth in young leaders in your community with Rotary's service learning resources, our new approach to youth service. Resources are now available for both youth program participants and adult advisors. Start your service learning journey now at rotary.org/learn.
We are excited to invite you to 2022 Rotary International Convention, Houston, Texas.
There are no limits to what can be discovered.
Our horizons are changing, but we remain resilient.
Because it's in our nature to break down barriers.
To explore the vast world of ideas, culture, and experiences.
The very things that give us new meaning to life.
So what better time than now to take action?
And push the boundaries of what's possible.
To join forces and do something that revitalizes the spirit.
Form connections that broaden our worldview. Share our passions for service with other leaders.
And become inspired to do great things along the way.
Let's take on new horizons and see what's possible.
Because our potential has no limits.
Discover new horizons at the 2022
Rotary International Convention in Houston, Texas.
Come, let's discover new horizons at the 2022 Rotary International Convention, Houston, Texas.
Every year, over 350,000 young people participate in Rotary's youth programs. And thousands of mentors guide them as they develop their potential and take action in their communities. Service learning is a proven method for activating young people to address the root cause of community issues and hone their leadership skills. And along the way, inspiring them to create lasting change in their communities and themselves, setting them on a path for a lifetime of service. Foster growth in young leaders in your community with Rotary's service learning resources, our new approach to youth service. Resources are now available for both youth program participants and adult advisors. Start your service learning journey now at rotary.org/learn.
Welcome back to the Virtual International Convention, featuring
CEO of Gavi, the Vaccine Alliance, Dr. Seth Berkley.
General Secretary and CEO of Rotary International, John Hugo.
Olympic gold medalist and marathon world record holder, Eliud Kipchoge.
Senior Advisor to the Director General of the World Health Organization, Dr. Bruce Aylward.
Vice President of the Gapminder Foundation, Anna Rosling-Rönland.
Partner of the Rotary International President, Suzanne Canuck.
Former meteorologist for ZDF and Rotarian, Dr. Gunther Tiersch.
Rotary International President-elect, Sheikha Mehta.
2021 Rotary International Convention Committee Vice Chair, Ann-Britt Essebol.
Rotary International President, Holger Canuck.
United States Artist Fellow and Breakbeat Poet, Idris Goodwin.
And our host, news anchor and Rotarian, Mark Wright.
Welcome back to the third and final general session of this year's Virtual International Convention. This convention has been a tremendous example of innovation, and it's been a pleasure to not only be your host, but a fellow participant. Now, today's session will focus on what Rotarians do best, service. Our speakers will share insights on how we can serve more effectively, provide updates on some of our major service efforts, such as our polio eradication campaign, and highlighting the value of working together to achieve shared goals. The first speaker to get us started is a shining example of what it means to be a partner in service. Joining us now, I'm delighted to introduce the CEO of Gavi, the Vaccine Alliance, Dr. Seth Berkley.
Rotary International members, ladies and gentlemen, thank you for inviting me to join you today and giving me the opportunity to speak. Opportunity being the key word here at this event. Today we have one of the most important opportunities before us to end the most devastating global health crisis in living memory, the COVID-19 pandemic. With over 160 million cases and nearly 3.4 million deaths, the impact of COVID-19 on people's lives, livelihoods, and the global economy has been immeasurable. From the beginning, it was clear that to end this crisis, we didn't just need vaccines, we need vaccinations, and lots of them. Until people in all corners of the world were protected, not those who could just afford it, the virus would continue to rage. In an unprecedented show of global solidarity, the 192 governments and territories representing 90% of the global population came together to back the COVAX facility, a unique global solution aimed at making equitable access to COVID-19 vaccines possible. With 14 vaccines now approved across the world and more than 1.4 billion people vaccinated, the world's largest and most complex vaccine development deployment in history is now well underway. By the beginning of next year, COVAX is aiming to make at least 1.8 billion doses of COVID-19 vaccines available to people living in the 92 lowest income countries that otherwise would have limited or no access, thanks to the Gavi COVAX Advanced Market Commitment. When these vaccines first became available, we were able to administer the first vaccination in a lower income country, in this case India, within just 39 days after the first jab in a high-income country. Since then, we've delivered almost 70 million doses to people in 124 countries. Of course, this is not good enough because inequities still exist. High-income countries have about 30% of their population vaccinated, and the lowest income countries less than 1%. We have to do better. But of course, during our pandemic, the vaccination efforts do not end with COVID-19. As Rotary International members, I'm sure you are aware of the devastating impact this crisis has had on our existing vaccination programs. In the first few months of the pandemic, we saw routine immunization programs disrupted and campaigns, including polio campaigns by Rotary, suspended. The risk of having large numbers of people gathering and spreading COVID-19 at campaigns was just way too high. While other routine immunizations, lockdowns, disruption to travel, or just fear of COVID kept people away. The impact of this was terrible. Within the first few months, at least 80 million children were put at risk of other preventable diseases, such as measles, yellow fever, or polio, because they had missed out on vital vaccinations. And with so many missing out, countries suddenly faced the prospects of an outbreak of other vaccine-preventable diseases while battling COVID-19. All this, along with the impact of COVID-19 on health systems, threatens to unravel years of incredible progress and set countries back decades. Gavi and its alliance partners responded by providing essential support to help countries prop up their struggling health systems, both to fight COVID-19 and keep routine immunization programs going. Because of such efforts and the dedication of governments, thankfully, we've managed to recover some ground. And in August last year, after 4 years with no cases, the African region was certified as free of wild polio viruses. Now only 2 countries, Pakistan and Afghanistan, still have circulation of wild polio virus. Now with COVID-19 vaccines flowing, it's going to be critical to maintain hard-won gains in immunization, to recover from the disruptions caused by COVID-19 and achieve even more by leaving no one behind in any situation or at any stage of life. Even before COVID, Gavi's strategic focus for this period was to reach more zero-dose children, those that have not received even a single dose of a routine vaccination. In Gavi-supported countries, there are 9.7 million of these children. As we begin to rebuild, reaching these zero-dose children, their families, and communities will be more important than ever. It represents an opportunity for programs to work differently, in a more coordinated, integrated, and efficient manner than in the past, leveraging different global health agendas such as Gavi's, the Global Polio Eradication Initiatives, and the broader Immunization Agenda 2030 around a common point of convergence to provide essential health services to the most marginalized and deprived communities. For polio, for example, and the launch of a new strategy at the World Health Assembly, this is a pivotal moment and a chance to synchronize efforts and promote integration of critical immunization and disease surveillance activities, one of the 3 main goals of GPEI's current strategy for eradication. In June, members of the Polio Oversight Board are planning on traveling to Pakistan, one of the 2 remaining countries where polio is still endemic, along with Afghanistan, to take a look on how this convergence is already playing out. Because the way immunization system strengthening support is being programmed there over the next 3 to 5 years is likely to play a critical role in stopping and sustaining zero polio virus transmission. As ever, as a valued partner of Gavi, Rotary International will play a key role in all this. And for that, I would like to thank you for the work that you're doing with your Polio Plus program and for your long-term and ongoing support. Thank you very much for listening.
Thank you, Dr. Berkeley, for those remarks. Your comments about the importance of vaccines are critical, especially now. Our next speaker has been a fierce advocate of vaccinations for many years, and he's a wonderful example of what it means to put service above self. Family of Rotary, please welcome from the Rotary Club of Kiev, Ukraine, Rotary International General Secretary and CEO, John Huko.
In the middle of a deadly pandemic, it can be natural to turn inward. Over the past year, COVID-19 consumed all of our attention. It has stolen lives and livelihoods, and has deprived us of our simple joys, meeting our families and friends, exploring the rich tapestry of life beyond our front door. And it's left us in a strange condition, the state of exile in our own homes. Now, what things will continue to be the same in our new reality? And I've asked myself this question, as I'm sure you have, many times over the last year. And it'd be easy to say that Rotary will remain a constant. But I can't say that with all honesty, because it isn't quite true. Now, I found a different answer in seeing the world through the eyes of my father, Lou, who was a dedicated member of the Rotary Club of Clarkston, Michigan, USA, for over 3 decades. You see, my dad kept almost all of his Rotary papers. And during the extra hours that I've spent at home, I've been sorting through a lot of them. There really were a lot of them. And it was very clear that Rotary was an integral part of my dad's identity. He came, as did my mother, to the United States from Ukraine by way of refugee camps in Germany. And in Rotary, he found a network that empowered him to make a difference in the country where he was born and to give back to the country that welcomed him at the end of World War II. And it was very clear that my father stayed in Rotary because of the opportunity to get involved in significant projects. He helped establish the first Rotary Club in Kyiv, Ukraine, after the fall of the Soviet Union. He led multi-district health projects there. Like many of you, he was a part of numerous local projects with his local club. He joined Rotary to give back, but he stayed because he could make an impact. And so my father's Rotary story taught me 2 things. 1, engaged members stay with Rotary, and through Rotary they can accomplish great things. And 2, Rotary will remain a constant and will continue to keep engaging people only because it is always changing as needed. We're always adapting to survive in the face of great challenges. We survived wars. We endured economic hardship. We persevered through moments of turmoil. And by innovating in adversity, we can meet the urgency of this moment. And we're already taking action. We've decided to add a new area of focus, supporting the environment, that will offer Rotary members another dedicated channel to increase our impact. And today, the variety of service opportunities in Rotary is even greater than it was for my dad. From the big picture projects such as programs to scale, to the environment, to local initiatives that are helping our neighborhoods rebound. Now, COVID-19 has also accelerated the adoption of digital technologies by several years. And I know that many clubs have found creative, new ways to connect and serve, which we should look to maintain in the post-COVID era. New, innovative clubs are being born, and they are thriving. Now, many of these clubs share several features. They have partnerships outside of Rotary. They're cause-based. They involve young people. And while they all adhere to the core and immutable Rotary values and principles of service above self, the 4-way test, and the focus on ethics and fellowship, they don't necessarily follow all of the Rotary rules. For example, one of the new clubs that was born last year is the International Rotaract E-Club for the Environment. Members are from 20 different countries, and their primary form of communication is WhatsApp. Another Rotary Club, La Marina Sunrise, California, USA, is looking at how virtual connectivity can be used in Rotary's future. And they have now made it easy to host a hybrid virtual and in-person meeting, one that brings people together physically while giving remote members simultaneous access. And it's also opened the door to some extraordinary remote speakers who can engage members in this new format. So remember, that while events may have forced us to turn inward this year, there is a path out of this strange exile. Our challenge is to stay connected with the world outside our front door, with the lives on the other end of a Zoom call, with the causes that touch people both at home and on the other side of the planet. And we will do this by being bold, by thinking out of the box, by changing our club experiences as needed, and by growing Rotary through the formation of new, innovative club models. There's great opportunity in this moment, and I hope that you will seize it by looking outward, by thinking like generations of Rotary members before you, that your vision for humanity will make a lasting impact on our world. So thank you, and enjoy the virtual convention.
In 2015, we nearly eliminated wild polio in Africa. It was the culmination of an effort spanning 4 decades. But all great achievements are threatened by setbacks.
On the brink of eradication, a dreaded disease has returned to strike Africa.
The Minister of Health, Professor Isaac Adewale, yesterday confirmed an outbreak of wild poliovirus WPV.
2 cases of wild poliovirus were detected in northern Nigeria in the state of Borno.
The outbreak is a major setback for the global campaign to eradicate the virus.
And so, the work continued. We recommitted ourselves to defeating this disease, knowing that our children could live in a world without polio. Health workers, partners, governments, parents, Rotarians, 1 billion determined people worked across borders and languages, rising up, knowing it would take everyone to get it right.
And to some good news for Kenya and Africa at large, Africa has been declared free of polio.
Africa being declared free of the last remaining strain of wild polio virus has been described as one of the greatest public health achievements of our time.
It's a real triumph to a vaccine campaign that has lasted for many, many years.
After going 3 years with no new cases, it has become the last country in Africa to eradicate the virus.
That's the Africa we all know. Strong, resilient, unstoppable. Rise up.
Rise up.
Rise up and celebrate.
And celebrate.
We've always known what we can accomplish, and now so does the rest of the world.
Strong, resilient, unstoppable. Those words ring true for our next guest as well, Eliud Kipchoge. He is an Olympic marathon champion, a world record holder, and the only person ever to complete a marathon in under 2 hours. That's something people thought was impossible. And like that historic effort in Africa, Eliud had to try more than once. Eliud, thank you so much for joining us today. It's an honor to speak with you. Welcome. What advice do you have for those seeking to achieve seemingly impossible goals? What advice do you have for the rest of us?
But I am trying to tell all the citizens of this world that let us be big dreamers, but let us start small and work on it.
Wow. Like in polio, it started with a few Rotarians. And
absolutely, yes. Few Rotarians started with polio, but now, guess what happened? Only 2 countries have remained. So let us dare to think and dare to do it.
How does running a marathon relate to vaccination campaigns and the effort to end polio?
Running a marathon is a long journey. It's not a one-night event. It takes seconds, it takes minutes, it takes hours, it takes weeks, and it takes months of pure sacrifice and training. On the other hand, as far as polio is concerned, it's not a one-night event. It's going. For now, Africa is a free polio continent, but we still have 2 endemic countries, which we need actually to still come together and move on in the same speed, with the same courage in order to beat this endemic disease.
I've watched a lot of video of you running your races, and I'm curious, in your experience, what got you over those obstacles? When I look at your face, even at the end of a grueling marathon, you're completely calm and you're completely focused. When you're faced with those huge challenges, what keeps you going in that moment?
Obstacles in life. Running is like life. Marathon is like life. And obstacles in every sector is present all the time. It's not the end of life. We need to navigate and see and get that obstacle and make it to be positive. That's what I am doing. Personally, I don't believe in success. I believe in a philosophy whereby it says success is not important, but how to prepare and plan for that success is critical, crucial. That's my philosophy whereby I'm believing on. So if you plan well and you prepare well, then any obstacle coming on your way, it will be really hard, but you will have ways to navigate. And at the end of it, you will become successful.
Do you have any advice for how our team can help achieve our big goals?
I want to tell them to dare to try, because they have been trying all the time, and they are about actually to be more successful as far as polio is concerned. You know, as a sportsman, when you reach that painful path of training, then that's where success is. Rotary has reached that peak, reached that point whereby only 2 countries has remained for polio actually to go away in this world. So it's the important part. Please press on, and press on.
That's fantastic. Well, Eliud, it's been such an honor to talk with you, and I know that so many Rotarians around the world are just inspired by you and grateful for your example. Thank you so much for spending time with us.
Thank you, and I wish you well.
I am so inspired that Eliud didn't give up after his first attempt to break the 2-hour marathon barrier. That historic accomplishment was made possible not only by his incomparable athleticism and determination, but also by the support he received from the runners who set the pace, scientists and designers who built his shoes, and the coaches and doctors who supported him through a grueling training regimen. And that is why he is the perfect metaphor for our polio eradication efforts and for vaccination efforts more generally. In fact, most recently, our polio eradication infrastructure has played a key role in coronavirus vaccinations. To tell us more, we're now joined by Dr. Bruce Aylward, Senior Advisor to the Director General and Head Access to COVID-19 Tools Accelerator Hub, Act A, at the World Health Organization. Bruce.
Dearest Rotarians, it is a tremendous honor to speak to you today, and it is tremendously important that we speak. Because you, Rotarians, have a vital role to play in changing the course of the pandemic we call COVID-19. You have vital knowledge, talents, and experience that you have honed in your decades of battling another terrible virus, polio. Today, 18 months after COVID-19 was discovered, this pandemic is still peaking in many parts of the world, with a devastating human, societal, and economic toll. This is a situation, however, we can reverse. Today, 1 year after the ACT Accelerator and its vaccines pillar COVAX were launched, we have the tools to fundamentally change the direction of this crisis. Today, we have new, affordable vaccines that can prevent COVID-19 anywhere in the world. Today, we have new, affordable tests that can rapidly diagnose COVID-19 anywhere. And today, we have new knowledge that proves the simple combination of oxygen and steroids can save lives anywhere. But Rotarians, today we do not have equitable access to these tools. And as a result, in much of the world, healthcare workers are still getting sick, and cherished older populations continue to die. Two numbers that illustrate our challenge. 1.5 billion doses of COVID-19 vaccine have been administered around the world, a staggering achievement. But only 5 million of those doses, less than 0.5%, have gone to the world's poorest countries. Rotarians, this is not right, and this is not equity. And you can play such a crucial role in changing this. More than a quarter of a century ago, you saw a similar inequity, and you challenged the world. You said it was simply not right that any child should be paralyzed by polio anywhere, and you set out to right a terrible injustice and vanquish a terrible disease. In the historic journey to eradicate polio, you have worked with us to build surveillance infrastructure around the world. You have worked with us to mobilize communities to vaccinate every child, and you have successfully challenged world leaders to finance the largest internationally coordinated effort in history. Rotarians, history needs you again, and the world needs you now. We need your voice and your advocacy to insist on the equitable sharing of COVID-19 vaccines and the know-how to produce them. We need your bold advocacy to insist that bold initiatives like the COVAX facility are fully funded. We need your on-the-ground presence and know-how to help communities prepare for vaccination. We need your stature with national leaders to ensure the right people get vaccinated in the right order. And we need your perseverance to see this through. Rotarians, while the rich world is almost awash in COVID-19 vaccines, health workers are still falling ill and older people are still dying in the world's poorest countries. This is unacceptable. And this is your challenge. It's our challenge. Rotary, this is your moment again. Your moment to teach the world what social justice really means and to challenge the world, national leaders everywhere, local leaders everywhere, to ensure everyone, everywhere, has access to COVID-19 vaccines, tests, and treatments. There are many things we still don't know about COVID-19, but we do know that in Rotary, even this virus will have met its match. Act now, act together to end this pandemic.
Thank you, Dr. Aylward, for all of your hard work over the past year. I am sure that Rotarians will rise to meet the challenge. We're people of action. It's what we do. One Rotarian, Dr. Isabel Scarinci, has done just that, partnering with Rotary clubs in Sri Lanka to eradicate cervical cancer. Her unwavering commitment and unshakable optimism clearly show why she was selected as another one of our 2021 People of Action Champions of Health. Let's learn more.
I had polio when I was 8 months old, and my mother became very engaged in polio vaccination. She took me door to door as a warning to other parents of the consequences should their own children remain unvaccinated. She made me feel part of a great mission that impacted lives. But my goal is that 30 years from now, kids will look at it and say, what is cervical cancer? Most cervical cancers are transmitted by a virus, the human papillomavirus or HPV. Cervical cancer is a devastating but preventable disease. It continues to be the leading cause of cancer death among women in many countries. It need not be so. This project is a product of a friendship between two Rotary clubs, Rotary Club of Birmingham and Rotary Club of Colombo. Our primary goal is for Sri Lanka to be the first country to eliminate cervical cancer as a public health problem through very simple strategies: screening and vaccination. We are training midwives to promote screening and guide women throughout the process, and the government has been a champion in HPV vaccination. We all know what works: government support for a sustainable program, and committed partners who, like my mother, will use personal talents, connections, and determination to get screening and vaccination to our communities. The lessons learned in Sri Lanka will serve as a platform for us to rapidly expand to other countries. Can we do it? Yes, because in my mother's words, the impossible just takes a little longer.
You know, Isabel's story is a perfect example of the effect our service can have on a community. Through this cervical cancer prevention initiative, this service project is quite literally saving lives. But Isabel is just one of more than 1.2 million Rotary members serving communities around the world. So how can we ensure that these service projects are making the greatest impact, or even addressing the right problems to begin with? Well, quite simply, we can rely on data. Here to tell us more, please welcome the Vice President of the Gapminder Foundation, Anna Rosling-Ronlund. Anna.
Hi, I'm Anna Rosling-Ronlund. I'm one of the founders of the Gapminder Foundation in Stockholm, which is a small educational non-profit. And what we try to do is to make the world understandable for everyone by looking at the big, important global trends and proportions that people usually get wrong. I am also co-writer of this book, Factfulness. As we all know, the world is full of big and small problems. But the question is, which one should we focus on? And how can we determine which one we should focus on? But what if we are wrong about the world? How would we be able to make the right decisions? That is something that we at Gapminder Foundation have spent quite a lot of time thinking about. So we have tested what people know about the world by asking fact questions to the general public, to organizations, to corporations, and to schools. And most of the time we get a similar picture. People are systematically wrong about the world. So I gave you 18 questions to check whether you have an accurate worldview or if you need to upgrade it. So let's have a look. What happened to the global suicide rate in the last 20 years? Did it decrease 25%, stay about the same, or increase by 25%? It actually decreased. So today there are fewer suicides, but almost no one knows about it. So we have tested this question in several countries, and as you can see, most people are actually wrong when it comes to suicides. So what about you? You score pretty much the same as all the others we have tested. So when you can choose between 3 different answer alternatives, A, B, and C, you would get the correct result every third time by just guessing. Just like when a chimp picks a banana, he would pick banana B every third time on average. Let's take another question. In 1990, 58% of the world population lived in low-income countries. What is the share today? 9%, 37%, or 61%? Let's look and see what has happened. Each bubble is a country. The size of the bubble is the population, and the color is the region. So pink bubbles are Asia, green bubbles Americas, blue bubbles Africa, and yellow bubbles Europe. So this is what the world looked like in 1988. At that point in time, 56% of the world population lived in low-income countries. But since then, things have changed. See here how the countries are moving around, and especially how the big Asian country China is moving out from being a low-income country. And now we can see the big Asian countries, especially China and India, are no longer considered being low-income countries. So today, it's only 9% of the world population that lives in a low-income country. So we tested this in several countries, and as you can see, the majority got it wrong on this question too. And your results were pretty much on par with the other countries we have tested. Few of you could imagine that the share of people living in low-income countries had decreased 6 times in just 30 years. But you were also wrong about a few other things. You believed agriculture, forestry, and fishing made up a huge part of the global economy, while in fact it's only 4%. And you also assumed that roughly half of all plastic waste ends up in the oceans, while in reality it's more around 6%. And you assumed that more than 4% were refugees, while in fact it's just 0.4% that are refugees today. And you couldn't imagine that almost 20% of all top managers and CEOs in the world today are women. You got 18 questions in total. And now we're going to look at the results per person. Here we can see every single result from 0, because you can actually get 0 on these questions, all the way up to 18, getting every single question correct. Remember, a chimp would actually end up here, getting a third of the questions right by just random. And this is your results. 58 of you scored 3, and just one, got 16. So the average score was to get 3.4 correct, and 9% of you were actually performing better than the chimp. So the world you have in your heads is actually much more gloomy than the world we can see in the data. So where do we get our worldview? Well, first of all, we've learned in school. But unfortunately, what we learned before will get outdated. So what we can see out the window is too narrow to give us the global trends and proportions we need to understand the world. And the news focuses on events that are rare and extraordinary, which gives us an overdramatic worldview. So if we cannot rely on what we learned in school, what we see on the television, or what we hear from friends, how can we get the world right? So we need data. And the good news is that most of that data actually exists today. Without data, we cannot understand what's going on, and we will not be able to see the big global trends and proportions. The world as we see it in the media is a place where people are starving, fleeing, and it's a polluted world with burnt or dry lands, where people are dying in pandemics and wars. For most of us, we need to find somewhere to sleep. We brush our teeth. We go to the toilet. We wash our hands. We prepare food. And we have to move around. Simple, everyday things. Nothing like the dramatic images we see in the media. There are a lot of problems in the world that has to be solved. But when we underestimate the positive progress that has already happened, I think there's a risk that we think the problems are too big to be solved. And that might discourage us from actually trying to do things. So to solve the problems in the world, we need to get the facts right. Because when we get the facts right, we can make the right decisions and solve the right problems in the right order. And by testing our worldview, like I tested you, is a pretty quick way of making sure that we are on track. So what if you want to redo the questions that I gave you before and make sure that you're getting it right and have an updated worldview? No worries. We have developed a service called the Worldview Upgrader, and you can actually take the test there again. So when you have answered all the questions correct, you can actually download a diploma to prove that you now have an updated worldview. Good luck. And please challenge your friends, family, and colleagues. I bet they will be wrong about the world too.
It is so good to hear from you, Anna, and thank you very much for that presentation. When we rely on data without being clouded by biases, judgments, or assumptions, we can more efficiently achieve our goals, making our dreams a step closer to becoming reality. When we talk about service, we often discuss the importance of partnerships. Working together is a great way to combine skills, learn new things, and expand our network. Those partnerships vary in scale from other organizations to other Rotary clubs, even to individuals. It's now my distinct pleasure to introduce a very special partner in service to the Rotary world. Ladies and gentlemen, from the Rotary E-Club of Hamburg Connect, Germany, please welcome the partner of Rotary International President Susanne Knack and journalist Günther Tirsch.
Hello Rotarians. I'm sitting here with Susanne Knack in Ratzeburg in Germany. Susanne, you have been a member of a Rotary E-Club for a while. What is your message to Rotary clubs looking to maintain some form of the virtual environment?
I love our club model. It's a mix of virtual meetings late in the evening at 9 p.m. and personal meeting once a month for dinner or for taking action in a service project. You can join the meeting wherever you are. It's so easy. My wish for the future of all clubs is to take the best from their last experiences and maintain flexibility, virtual and personal.
Susanne, you have been directly involved in numerous projects that have made a difference. Can you share an example of a project that you are personally proud of?
We are involved in weekly service projects at the beginning, which everyone can participate in according to their own possibilities. So we started with weekly play afternoons for children in refugee shelters, and now we distribute soup weekly to the homeless and needy.
Susanne, we all know that you opened your home to numerous youth exchange students from all over the world. I think it was 40. How are your experiences with so many different people belonging to the family?
Since Holger joined Rotary, we have always enjoyed hosting guests from all over the world. The contact through Rotary has given us the opportunity to see things from different perspectives and to question our own views and become more open-minded. Through the Rotary Youth Exchange, we have come into close contact with many young people from different families and continents. This many conversations and experiences have broadened our own horizon and significantly increased our tolerance. We have been able to get to know many cultures while staying in our home. So Rotary gives us the feeling of having friends all over the world. That's a fantastic feeling.
Okay, thank you very much, Susanne.
It's so wonderful to hear from you, Susanne, and what a unique opportunity. It's now my distinct pleasure to introduce our next speaker, a person of action in his own right. Family of Rotary, please welcome back from the Rotary Club of Calcutta, Mahanagar, India, Rotary International President-elect Shekhar Mehta.
Namaste. Hello, the movers and shakers of Rotary around the world. You are the movers and I am Shekhar. Hope you are enjoying this convention. Conventions inspire us as we look back at the year gone by and motivate us for the year ahead. I do hope that the year ahead will be a safe and exciting one for each and every one of us. During this period, I ask you to dream big and set big goals. I urge you to do more and grow more. Friends, that will be our guiding mantra. Do more as in bigger and impactful service projects, and grow more as in increasing our membership and expanding the participation. Membership, friends, continues to be our biggest challenge. For the last 20 years, our membership has been at 1.2 million. Together, let us change this. Here is your opportunity to make the biggest change in Rotary history as far as membership is concerned. What we have not accomplished in the last 20 years, I challenge you to accomplish in 12 months. So friends, the dream is to increase our membership to 1.3 million by 1st July 2022. But that's too big a dream, you may say. Well, if I ask you to dream big, I have to lead from the front. One of my inspirations in life comes from what George Bernard Shaw said. He said, you see things and you say, why? But I dream of things that never were, and I say, why not? How can we reach that incredible goal? The answer is, each one bring one. As simple as that. Just one member is all I need you to bring in your club. And let every Rotarian around the world do this. As Rotarians, you will become change makers, as you will change the lives for good of each person that you make a Rotarian. We need to grow more to do more. I've always been hugely inspired by the motto of Rotary, service above self. It has taught me to care for others, share with others. Service to me is about thinking of others even before I think of myself. So much so that my life's guiding philosophy itself has become, service is the rent I pay for the space I occupy on this earth, and I want to be a good tenant of this earth. I'm sure each one of you also has found your opportunity to serve. You too have provided eyesight to the blind, food to the hungry, homes to the homeless. They may have been small opportunities of service or large projects. Rotarians see a need and they serve. Why else have Rotarians spent billions of dollars and volunteer hours over the last 35 years to eradicate polio and serve mankind? Why else have we set up thousands of schools, hundreds of hospitals, provided water in parched villages, brought dignity to people by providing toilets in their homes, given the gift of life to tens of thousands of children by doing their heart surgeries? Rotarians serve to change lives. Today, the need to serve has become even more necessary and apparent. As we all serve, we change the lives of not only others, we change our lives too. Vivekananda, one of India's greatest philosophers, has said, when you help someone, do not think you are obliging him or her. In fact, it is he or she who is obliging you by giving you an opportunity to give back something to this world from where we have received so much. Friends, to live for others, to care for others, to serve others and change their lives is the best way to live our own lives. Just as Albert Einstein said, only a life lived for others is a life worthwhile. And friends, as we go about our service initiatives, our special focus for the forthcoming year will be on empowering girls. It is important that we empower the girls, as we all find that more often than not, the girl is disadvantaged. We will serve all children, but our laser focus will be especially on the girl. There are many issues that the girls face. In different parts of the world, there are different issues, and you will ensure that we try to mitigate the disadvantage of the girl that they may have. Dear change makers, ending polio, fighting COVID, working on large impactful projects, and increasing our membership to a never before 1.3 million. The task ahead is challenging. And that should excite you. Rotarians love challenges. A ship is safe in the harbor, but that is not what ships are meant for. They need to go out in the high seas. Life, my friends, dear change makers, is about adventure and not maintenance. Let me end by this poem that I've written. The biggest gift we are given is the power to touch a life, to change, to make a difference in the circle of life. If we can reach out with our hand, heart, and soul, the magic will begin to happen as the wheel begins to roll. Let us all turn the wheel together so that all humanity thrives. We have the power and the magic to serve, to change lives. At this moment, I urge you, wherever you are seated around the world, put your hand on your heart and pledge with me. We have the power and the magic to serve, to change lives. Namaste.
What an amazing speech, President-elect Shaker. Thank you very much. Now, throughout our event, you may have noticed some videos featuring a very special bear, Orby the space bear. Throughout this virtual convention, Orby has been traveling from outer space to join Shaker and the family of Rotary here on planet Earth. But where exactly is he going and why? Let's check out the final installment and see the exciting conclusion of Orby's journey.
Orby, I want you to meet two very special people. This is Holger Knock, and this is John Smarge. I asked them to come here to meet you and to explain more about Rotary. Holger, why don't you go first and tell Orby what Rotary is?
Rotary is not just a club that you join. It is an invitation to endless opportunities. It opens opportunities to serve, most notably in our historic project to end polio now. And it opens opportunities for you to have a richer, more meaningful life with friends around the world based on our core values of service, fellowship, diversity, integrity, and leadership. These values form the basis of our organization.
Rotary sounds so much like my home. On Alimus, we live by a code. We all agree that we should practice respect for others by always telling the truth. We also agree to always treat each other with respect and to be fair. We know that if we are considerate with each other, then we can also trust each other. We agree to live by this code so we can have happiness and peace.
Then we live by the same code. In Rotary, we call it our four-way test.
Holger, how do you know so much about Rotary?
I am the current president of Rotary International. On July 1st, Shaker will become the new president. Every year we have an international convention and Rotarians from all around the world attend virtually or in person to visit with each other and see all that the convention has to offer.
That sounds like a great place to share ideas for service.
That's right, Orby. Next year, our international convention will be right here in Houston at the George R. Brown Convention Center. We will have many things for Rotarians to see and do while they are here in Houston.
Oh, you should take them to the Space Center and Kima and the San Jacinto Monument. Oh, and the zoo and the museums and the Astrodome.
We will, Orby. We will.
I don't know when you're returning home, but would it be possible for you to come back and join us here at the Rotary International Convention in Houston in June of 2022?
Yes, I would love to. Thank you. Can I be a Rotarian too?
Well, we do have e-clubs.
Oh, could I start my own Rotary Club on Alimus?
An intergalactic Rotary Club. Now that's discovering new horizons.
Orby is very excited because he knows that this is only the beginning of a long string of adventures he is set to explore on planet Houston.
Thank you, Orby. I'm so glad you made it to Earth. Okay, I, for one, cannot wait for next year's convention in Houston, Texas, USA. Our conventions allow us to travel the world, make friendships that last a lifetime, and share service ideas with international collaborators. Joining us now from the Rotary Club of Falun-Kopervagen, Sweden, please welcome your 2021 Rotary International Convention Committee Vice Chair and past Rotary International Director, Ann-Britt Asebol.
Hello, everyone. My name is Ann-Britt Asebol, and I'm your Convention Committee Co-Chair. Thank you for participating in this virtual convention, and thank you for everything that you have done through the past year to make a difference in your community, in the globe, and within yourself. As this event comes to an end, I have reflected myself on what I have learned through the planning process, and I can tell that the best laid plans aren't meaningful unless you are having fun. And seeing your participation and also being a participant myself, I can tell that we have achieved that goal. As President Holger says, Rotary opens opportunities, and this convention has been an opportunity to enjoy ourselves, an opportunity to learn something new from the plenary sessions, the breakout sessions, and the pre-convention. An opportunity to find new partners in service and an opportunity to make new friends. It has been a pleasure and a great source of pride to have served as your convention committee co-chair, and I say thank you. Tack.
Thank you, Ann Britt, for those remarks and for your work on our international convention. This has been an excellent event, and I'd really like to thank everyone who helped bring it to fruition. As we all know, our original plans were to host this event in Taipei, Taiwan. Like many of you, we had to adjust our plans due to the COVID-19 pandemic. However, Rotarians in Taipei haven't let the COVID pandemic slow them down. In fact, they've transformed our current global situation into an opportunity to make something beautiful. Let's take a look.
We welcome you all to witness a historical milestone of Rotary in Taiwan. The pandemic has limited us in hosting the RI convention in Taipei this year. However, it has not limited the passion of Rotarians in Taiwan. The 12 districts have gathered their wit and strength to produce a sculpture to commemorate such passion, which led to the opening ceremony today.
今年6月登场的2021国际扶轮世界年会，在27年之后重新回到台北举行。
I think this is the best Taiwan Rotarian can do for this year's convention.
Rotary opens opportunity!
This 13 feet high sculpture is called Dialogue Between Time and Space, and it is a symbol of a language without a time axis. Positioned between modern and old, between Taipei Main Station and the historical structure of North Gate, this sculpture symbolizes a tunnel of time. At the end of the tunnel is always an open space, an open opportunity in words of Rotary, opportunity to serve the world.
I love that picture of Holger at the end holding his own miniature version of the sculpture. Because you couldn't bring Holger to Taiwan, you brought a piece of Taiwan to Holger. That is really inventive. Okay, let's join him back in Germany for his closing remarks for our virtual event. Please welcome for the final time Rotary International President Holger Knaak.
Dear friends, we now come to the end of the 2021 virtual convention. I hope it has opened your eyes to all of the great changes underway at Rotary and all the ways that Rotary opens opportunities for ourselves and the people we serve. There is so much I would like to say about the past year, both on behalf of our organization and personally. I want to thank the staff and all Rotary volunteers for their work as a team to address many challenges. We have learned how to do much of our work virtually, which has made us more cost-efficient, nimble, and adaptable to change. But I want to speak briefly about the lessons this year we've learned, and the first is the importance of care. We must grow Rotary and make sure that our organization is appealing to the future leaders regardless of their background. Please choose new members carefully so that they feel welcome and necessary. Then they will stay as friends for life. Every Rotarian in every club should feel like she or he belongs. If a Rotarian faces a challenge in their lives, they should see us as friends who they can turn to without embarrassment or apologize. That's what friends do, and that is what Rotary is. We also show care when we engage the full family of Rotary in everything we do. By working with Rotary clubs, we give young people a chance to take the lead. to cross-mentor us based on their knowledge and experience. And it is about transcending barriers so that everyone is treated with dignity and respect. We show care when we focus on our communities and also when we look beyond our backyards to places where the needs are greatest. Clubs need to strike this fair balance. Another way that we show care is by taking care of the environment. Taking care of our planet is a way we show respect for future generations. This is the kind of care that leads to peace. When Rotary faces the world as a community of friends who care about their communities and who care about the global community, we are making a lasting impact on the world. We make peace possible through service. And we are living our core values. In difficult times like today, our core values of fellowship, leadership, integrity, diversity, and service are more important than ever. We cannot pick and choose from these values. We must live them all. And we can and must show leadership in helping the world getting vaccinated and bring this pandemic to a close. We must live with integrity and do this by living up our 4-way test, using it as a tool of self-reflection and honesty. Am I being honest? And am I doing the right thing? That's what matters most. We must fully live up to our core value of diversity and have seen the importance of this throughout the past year. Rotary is not political and must remain that way, but neither is Rotary blind or deaf to the world around us. We must promote tolerance in the world. We believe that different genders, different generations, and different cultures and backgrounds represent our organization and that no one should be left out. Through expanded diversity, Rotary will become a more modern, inclusive, and appealing organization. And we also believe in standing up to discrimination wherever and whenever it happens. We are not perfect, however, and must continue to focus on diversity, equity, and inclusion. That brings me to the final core value of service. In these extraordinary times, there is no doubt that we must place increased emphasis on service. This is our opportunity to show the world what service above self means for Rotarians. Service above self is not just a motto. It is our reason for being. These days, in many parts of the world, unrestrained individualism is putting the self ahead of anything and everything. In Rotary, we know that a willingness to serve a higher good not only provides opportunities for others, it provides an opportunity for us to better ourselves, to live lives of meaning and genuine reward. This time is ours, and we will make the best of it. This is a new opportunity for Rotary to build on what we've learned, to embrace our new reality, to welcome new faces, to find new and better ways to shine, and to have a continuing positive impact on the world. Suzanne and I are thankful for all the opportunities to serve the organization during this special year. We have been so blessed to see firsthand that Rotary is a community of people who live their values by putting them into action. And as I have said many times before, and believe more now than ever, everything we do opens an opportunity for someone somewhere. Thank you for this opportunity. Thank you.
Thank you, President Holger. You have shown us what it means to lead with grace, with compassion, and with steadfast guidance, and we will always remember what you have accomplished in this past Rotary year. You have proven that Rotary can open opportunities for all of us, opportunities to make a difference, to serve our communities, and to be effective activists. Here to perform his new poem, You Are an Activist, a poem written specially for Rotary. Please welcome 2021 United States Artist Fellow and Breakbeat poet, Idris Goodwin.
This is for my father, an encyclopedia of adages, puns, and expressions. As a kid, one of my favorites, he used to always say, "A thing is what a thing does." Sailors sail, boxers box, nurses nurse, plumbers plumb, I guess. But now, I know we are more than just our professions. Who we are is expressed in all the roles we were born or grew into. All of you hearing this or reading these captions represent a range of names and possibilities and responsibilities, parents, uncles, grandchildren, brothers, sisters, first generation, Midwest born, multilingual, mentor, and student. Some who dance, some who hold the wall. We hold titles like doctor, captain, Generation X, coach, Rotarian. We've evolved across varied professions, passions, ideologies. We are a people of faith, of allegiances, balancing inheritance and discovery. Every day, carving ripples and reverb, an algorithm of our choices, our routines. Every day, in ways we don't even realize. We plant seeds unseen, the smallest cracks in our faces, releasing smiles, or the bold move driven by the indescribable vibration called humanity. Every day, helping open doors, creating new possible worlds. And some of you are just beginning to answer your calling. Some of us can't name it, but also cannot ignore that indescribable empathy for our fellow lost child. If a thing is what a thing does, then we who are driven to act are activists. You and I. Most of us living between the loudest voices, cartoonishly propped to be in opposition. They say we are divided, that we don't understand one another, that we are irreparable, living entirely on poles that are melting. Compassion dying, diseases and virus spreading faster than misinformation. It can suffocate and shake the filaments loose, leaving the spirit in the dark. But that's not how we were designed. We're activists, showing up every day, long haulers, strategists, those brave enough to build coalition, cooperate, commit to find what is common. We know that we are part of a world that is speaking a heart language, holding global conversation, strategizing together, things called compassion, things called justice, things called understanding, things called love. Another word for activism. Love, an extension of our inability to sit idly by, moving us to amplify, aid, to set sail and search, to nurse wounds to health. This is how we were designed. Parents of action, mentors of action, architects of action, building from what was passed down inside our DNA. My father didn't really tell us he loved us with his words. But if a thing is what a thing does, then he is certainly love. But me, I tell my two sons that I love them every day. It's a seed I plant in both their hearts to spread as far, wide, fast as they can, knowing well it will come back. Our actions are echoes, bouncing across the water, floating with the wind. Remember that. Every day moving in harmony with the axis of our activist Earth.
Family of Rotary, this brings us to the conclusion of our virtual international convention. It has been such a privilege to be your host, and I hope you found this convention to be as fun and inspiring as I have. As a reminder, we'll have an encore showing of this session on the 17th of June, so please consult your schedule for those details. Seeing all that you have accomplished under such challenging circumstances this past year makes me proud to count myself among you as a Rotarian. I have no doubt that you will keep doing good in the world, and I cannot wait to see what we will accomplish together. Thank you.